play.
Swim so free.
The Capitol Hill to
Soccer bopper.
All right, hey everybody, it's another episode of Tune In Next Week. This is episode 4, and this is John.
And this is Brian.
What's up, dude? How you feeling?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
I'm good, man. Good, man. Thanks for asking, man. Good to have you here. And good to have you all with us whenever it is you're listening to us here, and thanks very much for subscribing and checking us out. This week, we checked out a show called Airwolf, and for those unfamiliar, Airwolf was a show about a futuristic, souped-up helicopter. I guess kind of I don't know if this was motivated by Knight Rider or had any sort of,
I think that it was. They were both out around the same time.
Yeah. But I think this came first, actually, because I could be wrong about that, but I know they were out around the same time. But the episode we watched here is actually called The Bite of the Jackal, and it was originally aired February 4th, 1984. So definitely early 80s on this one here. And now I do have a quick plot synopsis for you here. This is courtesy of Netflix, actually. So after Dom and a young stowaway crash land in Mexico, it's Hawk and Archangel to the rescue, but they don't know they're flying into a trap. So the kind of like series-long goal is for these other people to try to get their hands on Airwolf, which is this badass helicopter, and they fight off all these people and prevent them from getting it, so it always stays in the hands of the good guys.
Think of it as a flying kit, and everybody wants to get their hands on it. Everybody wants to use it for their own scheming purposes.
Right.
And it is Hawk's job to keep it out of their hands.
Right. So Hawk is the main guy, and
so Airwolf ran from 1984 through 1986. It ran 55 episodes, 3 seasons total.
Only 3.
3 seasons.
That's interesting.
So this is season 1, episode 3. Episode 4, if you don't count the first 2 episodes as the single episode.
Right, because the pilot episode was a 2-parter.
Right, the pilot episode was a 2-parter. So most services that you're going to watch this on, it is available on Netflix. It's available on DVD on Amazon, and it's available on Hulu for streaming as well. But most of those services are going to list this particular episode as episode 4.
Okay.
Even though this is technically episode 3, based off of the first 2 episodes being a 2-parter.
Right. Okay. But either way, it's fairly early on in the first season.
Yes.
So let's see. Should we jump right into it?
We should, but first, this was directed by Alan J. Levy, written by Donald Belisario, Nicholas Correa, and special guest star.
Wait. Before you say it, the guy who created Airwolf is actually that Donald Belisario, the guy who wrote it. He was the original creator, much like Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek and
yes,
I can't remember the guy's name who created Knight Rider. I should know this. I'm a super fan of Knight Rider, but anyway. This show, this episode has a major celebrity guest star. And I'm not even talking about Ernest Borgnine, who's a normal member of the Airwolf cast. Ernest Borgnine. This may be the television debut of Brenda Walsh herself, Shannon Doherty. It's, Shannon Doherty plays a 13-year-old stowaway girl.
This show has launched several careers as well. We were talking earlier about Bryan Cranston.
That's true. You mentioned that. So Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad and
Malcolm in the Middle.
Was he on? What was the name of that show? Mad Men.
He may have been Mad Men. It may have been on Mad Men.
Or I might be confusing him with somebody else. I know there's a few people that are similar to him, and I've confused him with other people.
I've never seen the entire series, so
yeah, me neither.
He may have been on there.
Yeah, I mean, who would think that an obscure show about a turbo helicopter would, launch the career of Brenda Walsh. But
And Walter White.
yes, that's for sure. So basically, I may wind up calling her Brenda Walsh for the entire podcast.
I wrote her down as Phoebe in my notes.
Okay, yeah, her character's name is Phoebe. But she basically plays this little girl who stows away on a chopper. But we're going to talk about kind of what her role is in a little bit.
Yes.
So we're starting out with a kind of a dopey looking guy going to do some maintenance on this sort of old looking helicopter that's parked outside of the hangar, and he's mounting some sort of small device, which really just, for lack of anything else, looks like a calculator.
For me, watching him come up, I'm not that familiar with Airwolf. I've seen a few episodes, but this mechanic walking up, I immediately knew he was a bad guy because of his black leather gloves.
Yeah, of course, because anytime somebody's going to do something bad, they've always got to have black leather gloves on.
Of course. So he comes up and he rifles through his toolbox, brings out a bomb, opens up this helicopter, which is I'm not that familiar with aircraft, but this was an interesting way to get in there. The whole nose just opens up, and
right.
He climbs into the nose of this helicopter, and affixes this bomb to the inside.
And the bomb looks like an old school calculator, something you'd buy from like Radio Shack in the mid 80s.
Yeah, like a red and white,
huge buttons, and I mean the thing probably
calculator.
they probably used a calculator as a prop, but I mean, how much explosive can you really cram into something that small to do any kind of damage to a helicopter? And that helicopter was pretty big. It wasn't like a little training helicopter or like a little two-seater.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing was like a cargo helicopter with the thing had some heft to it. So, I wasn't feeling the proportion to explosion size or expected explosion versus, the size of the craft they were trying to take down.
They do comment on that later when he's making repairs, and there's C4. You don't need a lot of C4 to do a lot of damage.
True. But I mean, again, what are you going to cram into something that's the size of a calculator? It's going to be like a little fart going off in the front.
True.
Unless the thing weighed 60 pounds, which clearly it didn't because the guy was handling it with one hand like it was a calculator.
I don't think they were intending to blow up the entire helicopter. I think they were just trying to bring it down.
Of course, but you would still need a sizable amount of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I would think more, I mean, and also think about other times where you've seen C4 in some other application. There's always some other detonator attached to a block of C4. And for those unfamiliar, C4 being like plastic explosive. It looks like really big sticks of butter, but, dark and green and plastic looking. You could have hidden that type of explosive inside this thing, but, it would not be very much.
No, it wouldn't be very much.
Yeah. And okay, so then anyway, he mounts the calculator inside the engine of this, the engine of this helicopter, and then we go inside and we see our good pal Ernest Borgnine, who apparently we learn owns this helicopter. Mm-hmm. He's talking with a gentleman by the name of String. Now, I have not seen many episodes of Airwolf. I think it's a great show, and I'm probably going to watch a few more episodes because I do like the element of the futuristic helicopter, and I'm being a Knight Rider fan. I mean,
very similar to Knight Rider.
It's similar to Knight Rider, so I mean, I'm going to watch a few more episodes. But I remember when I watched the pilot, because we were originally going to do this podcast all about Airwolf. But why would you name your kid String?
I don't think it is. Because based off of the other episodes I've seen, am I mistaken? His name is St. John Hawk.
According to IMDb, the name of his character is Stringfellow Hawk.
Stringfellow Hawk. Yes, you're right. They do say that.
The actor who plays him is, I think, Jean St. John or Vincent John St. John Vincent. It's a French name, but it's his name is Stringfellow. What kind of a name is Stringfellow? I mean, like, I've heard of names like Pubert and Norbert and whatnot, but
Pubert.
I believe that was the name of the Addams Family kid in Addams Family Values.
I'm
But anyway,
Pugsley.
Pugsley is the little kid. Then Wednesday is the daughter, and then in Addams Family Values, they have a little kid named Hubert.
Oh, right.
Not that we're talking about the Addams Family, but but String. I mean, what a weird name. It's like, yeah, I need to tie these books together. Hand me some string, you know?
In the opening credits, he and the other episodes I've seen, he does play the cello.
Yes.
He sits in a boat in a lake and mournfully plays some cello out over the lake.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a guy with some deep past, which, you know, we can kind of leave it at that, but he's so String is inside talking to, and of course, thankfully, he's the only one with a weird name in the show because his buddy, you know, Ernest Borgnine, is Dominic, you know, and then his boss's nickname is Archangel, which is just badass.
Well, is that his nickname or is
I don't know if that's established, or maybe they might have said it in the pilot. They might have mentioned who he is, but I know he's always referred to as Archangel.
Yes.
I don't know if that's his code name or his. I don't think it's his name, but I know that, you know, Stringfellow's name is Stringfellow.
Look, he's got an eye patch. It's probably his code name.
That works for me.
He's his glasses get up. I do know the origin of this. They were developing and testing out the Airwolf helicopter, and this Archangel character was in the base or in the bay, and the guy stole Airwolf, came over, shut up the base, and Archangel lost his eye. So now he walks around with glasses. One is just a regular lensed, and the one where his eye has been where he's been blinded, it's now a shade. It's like a sunglasses.
That's cool. You know, I never noticed. Like, I noticed the darkened glass, but I never put two and two together. Maybe I fell asleep during that part of the pilot or something. I don't know.
Well, we're going to get a little bit ahead of us, but
that's okay.
It's funny to me that he wears these glasses. One is a shade, one is a regular lens, and when he's in Airwolf and he's flying around in Airwolf, he wears a white eye patch.
Was he wearing an eye patch? I could have sworn
absolutely.
I could have sworn he had his glasses on, but maybe he couldn't fit that helmet over his face. Which is
weird, because if you're wearing glasses because you have a need to improve your vision is poor, so you need to wear these glasses so you can see better.
Right.
And I get that one eye has been put out, so doesn't need
the other eye's got to do double duty.
Right.
But if that eye's impaired to begin with, you're shooting yourself in the foot when you're in it, when you're wearing the Airwolf helmet, because you're not getting the corrective vision on that one eye. And I have to wear glasses, and like if I take my glasses off, I can still see that you're sitting there, but I wouldn't be able to read what's on your shirt or what's on like your, what's on any of these bottles over here. I mean,
sure.
It's like I still need my glasses, and it's like if I'm jumping into a combat fighter helicopter,
exactly,
I would like my vision to be as good as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So so basically, so him and Stringy are talking, and Dominic is trying to convince String to come with him on this mission that he has to do to deliver this old helicopter. String's like, no, that's okay. And then so he leaves, and then he goes and climbs into this big helicopter that's sitting outside. Now, did you notice there was a big door on the side of that helicopter?
Yes.
But Ernest Borgnine, who looks like he's probably in his mid-60s,
easy,
climbs up the side of the helicopter and climbs in through the window on the top of the helicopter.
Yeah, and it's not a large window either.
No.
He's kind of shimmies his way into...
Yeah, and like, he's not in the greatest of shape, but for some reason he is deciding to climb up the outside when there's a perfectly good large door right at street level that he could have, climbed in at.
The closest thing that I can equate this to is if he were to drive like a big F-150 truck and he climbs in through the window instead of opening the door, because he's literally climbing up the side of this helicopter and then shimmying his way through the window.
Yeah, it looked extremely unnatural. And then when he
stairs, no ladder.
No. I mean, he was at an airport. Don't they have rolling stairs? They could have rolled up to the side of the airport, the side of the helicopter. Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, so now he leaves on his helicopter. He starts flying away, and now we transition over to we're all in a white limousine.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I don't know about you, but I've only seen white limousines at, like, weddings. Usually I see, like, executives riding around in a black limousine. I don't know if that makes a big difference, but...
I've seen a few in my day.
Yeah, but...
I've ridden in a couple.
Oh, yeah. But, anyway, we're in the back of this limo, and Archangel's in there with his lady friend, and this guy named Brooke. Brooke. They couldn't go with Brock, but they went with Brooke. Probably because it rhymes with fuck. I don't know. But so they're in the car, and Brooke's on the phone, and then you just hear him saying, yes, okay, thank you very much, goodbye, and he hangs up the phone, and they have a little chit chat back and forth, and they decide to celebrate. And do you remember what was it they were celebrating?
I don't remember specifically what they were celebrating. However,
did they even say? Maybe they didn't say.
They did. It was something to the effect of Brooke moving up in the ranks,
and
right, maybe someday you'll take my place at the agency.
Like he'll be the new Archangel.
Yeah, and
possibly.
Which was weird because their conversation and everything that it entailed, as well as throughout the rest of the episode, they're all working for the same organization.
Or so you think.
That's what I think. That's
what I thought too. But then you find out later on that he's got some other plans of his own.
He does. He does have other plans of his own.
But then again, I correct myself because I think the firm who Archangel works for is trying to get Airwolf back, and String is not giving Airwolf up.
It's a little convoluted.
Something like that.
It's a little no. You're spot on there. So. The firm develops Airwolf, the helicopter. Some rogue pilot, for political reasons, shoots up the base, steals Airwolf, flies off. They bring Stringfellow Hawk in.
So this is the summary of the pilot, basically.
This is the pilot, yeah. Right. Well, I know we need to be talking about this episode, but
we're giving backstory.
This is just a little confusing. So Stringfellow comes in, they battle with the rogue pilot, they get Airwolf back. However, the firm who Archangel works for is like, all right, thanks for getting
Airwolf back.
Airwolf
now
back.
Give us the keys.
Now give us the keys. But then Stringfellow was like, well, if you guys have it, it was easy for it to be hijacked by terrorists last time. I'll keep it for safekeeping. I'll hide it where you can't find it. That way you won't be culpable when I know you try to come after me to get it back. So he's ostensibly working for the firm, but outside of the firm at the same time. And that's what's confusing because now Archangel, in the episode we're now currently talking about, Archangel is working with this guy, Brooke, who's all about, hey, I know Dom is flying this antique helicopter out there. I'm going to send an agent out to blow him up.
Well, at this point, you don't know that Brooke is trying to blow up Dominic.
Not at this particular scene. The very next scene you find out.
Right. So let's talk about that because we're kind of talking about the plan that his plan is sort of coming to light right now at this point in the episode. So they bring Brooke to the airport and drop him off in his white limo, and then Archangel pulls away, and then it turns out they had a recording device attached to the phone that Brooke was talking on.
Well, I mean, it's a phone in a limousine, and with the amount of technology that they have, Brooke is dumb to not know that, of course, this limo phone is going to be tapped.
It's not a secure line, obviously, yeah.
So the call comes in. He basically spills the beans. The guy that planned the bomb says, "Hey, I planned this bomb. He'll be in a tailspin in a couple hours." Brooke's like, "Yep, thanks for that." Okay, yep. Hanging up the phone now. So Archangel hears this and wants to.
He's like, I got to alert the string man.
Why?
Well, because. Because they found out the call came from Van Nuys Airport. Van Nuys Airport is the home airport of Dominic's helicopter company.
Yes.
And Dominic is close with String.
Yes.
So he's like, well, we got to alert these guys. We got to take care of them. So they make arrangements to fly out and meet up with String.
They make some leaps in logic. It works out. It does, but it just feels like some pretty large leaps in logic.
Yeah.
So he goes, and to warn them, then we move to Dom flying, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the next part?
We move to Dom flying, and and this is also where Shannon Doherty makes her screen debut. Mm-hmm. So Dom's flying, he's doing his thing, and you see a sandwich sitting on the console to Dom's left, Dom being Ernest Borgnine, and you see this hand come up and start feeling around and grabs the sandwich, and then Dom looks down and is like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I wrote this line down. Rather than saying, "Hey, what are you doing here?" What's going on? He goes, "What are you doing aboard this vintage aircraft?" Like, not what the hell are you doing here? Who the F are you? You know,
what are you doing on this vintage aircraft?
What are you doing aboard this vintage aircraft? So she's saying that she's stowing away, and she's saying she's trying to get down to Mexico, down to Acapulco, and blah, blah, blah. And pretty much during this whole altercation, that's when the calculator bomb goes off. Mm-hmm. And, of course, a little tiny poof of an explosion in the front causes his helicopter to become completely unflyable. And he crash lands down in some field. Now, I also made a note that the acting in the crash landing was terrible.
Yes.
It was such a terrible crash landing because you see him piloting the aircraft down. It lands kind of hard, bounces up and down a little bit. Then you see Ernest Borgnine sitting there just fine. Then he bounces up and down. He's and before he hits, he pulls out this like designer pillow.
It's a pink pillow.
It's a
pink throw pillow.
It's a pink designer throw pillow, and hands it to Phoebe and says, "Put this on your face." Like, smother yourself while we're crashing horribly.
So she does, and she bunches it up and puts her face into it. And meanwhile, Dom is trying to steer the helicopter.
Right.
Helicopter sets down, it bounces once, and he does this over-dramatized, probably because the camera isn't moving around with the falling helicopter.
Right.
That's why it seems so fake.
Yeah.
But he literally just rocks back and forth and then puts his head down.
Yeah. And
that was the crash landing.
Right. And then moments later you find that he's got this open wound on the left-hand side of his forehead, and he's clutching the right-hand side of his forehead like it's in pain.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up the makeup.
It's like, dude, figure out what side of your head hurts and then hold that one.
I like this line, though. My head hurts this badly. I should have been drunk.
For all we know, he was.
Maybe.
Okay, so they crash land and
they climb out with minor injuries. They're at the edge of a cliff, but they get out no problems.
And instead of using the door would be a much safer exit, they go out the same ridiculous way that they got in.
Well, I can forgive this because it was starting to rock back and forth.
Sure.
They didn't know how close to the edge they were.
Sure.
I personally wouldn't have been comfortable moving about the aircraft to go out the door.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's just like if you were on an actual plane, and you had the choice of going to the overwing exit if it's if you're sitting in an exit row versus walking all the way to the front of the plane to jump down the slide.
Yeah, you have no idea how your weight is going to affect this craft, so it's probably better that they went out that way. But minor injuries so far.
Well, because it was such a an easy crash landing based on how it was acted a moment ago, they probably didn't have much injuries at all.
Definitely, yeah. So the next part is we're back at the Hawk cabin.
Yep.
And we have Archangel providing exposition about the politics of the whole thing, which again,
the whole thing with Bruck trying to move up and whatnot.
Convoluted.
Yeah.
It boils down to Bruck is making some power plays. He's trying to move up into the firm
By recovering Airwolf.
So I'm going to do this to draw out Hawk so I can get Airwolf back. And
then Hawk says, "You come with me to ensure that he doesn't get Airwolf back." And
Yeah.
and then Archangel's like, "Okay."
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But then they have another perfectly good pilot with him, Luca, is that her name?
I thought it was Maxine or something or
What?
Rebecca,
Maybe. I don't know. Whatever his
the blondie.
Yeah, whatever her name is, they rattle off some credentials for her. It's like, she's a very good pilot. He's like, no, she's not coming. And she starts to put up a protest, and Archangel's like, no, the man said no. The answer's no. You're not coming.
No. And so then he goes and picks up Airwolf, and then the two of them, which just for clarification, Archangel stays behind in his cabin while he goes and retrieves Airwolf. So he's the only one who knows where Airwolf is.
So he rides up into this cave, comes up this dirt road, rides into this cave, and
now
Airwolf.
Before we got to talk about how he's riding up into this cave, because he is Stringfellow Hawk, the dude with the worst name on the planet, but the best looking Jeep we've ever seen.
This Jeep is so America. It's so America. It's red, white, and blue Jeep
with stars on the back, and stripes on the front.
This is world police status right now.
I was just seriously waiting for him to burst out into America. Fuck yeah.
There probably would have been streamers. Should have been streamers on there.
Yes.
Just as he's riding down, just fireworks just going off the back. And
John Philip Sousa March is playing in over huge loudspeakers.
America.
Fuck yeah, America. Okay, so he goes and picks up Airwolf, and then goes back, picks up Archie, Archangel, and then they start flying over to find Dom.
And this is where the eye patch comes out.
Okay, I must not have noticed that.
Yeah, the eye patch was in full force, full effect.
Okay, and now while they're on their way to where Dom's coordinates were, Dom and Phoebe are there trying to, assess the chopper that they got shot down in, and then some other helicopters start to make their way towards where they are, and of course they're waving them, just saying, "Hey, come and rescue us," and then they start getting shot at by these people, which are obviously a terrible shot.
It made me laugh out loud because 4 choppers, maybe 5 choppers, all with machine guns, all with missiles, and they're coming up on this antique helicopter, but the 2 civilians, they were out there waving. Dom and Phoebe were out there waving, and then they just start firing on them. So I would think...
And then, go ahead.
I would think that you have your targets right there. They're lined up. You're going to shoot...
And they're not moving.
They're not moving because they want you to see them. So they're... Shoot them up. And to their credit, Dom being an old man and Phoebe being a frightened young child, they all lay down where they are and just cower. And these helicopters just go back and forth about a couple times, just laying down gunfire on them and don't hit them once.
And what I found funny is they don't even hide behind anything.
No,
they just lay down right where they are.
Lay down.
So it's like, not only are we're gonna try to avoid getting hit by these stray bullets, we're gonna make it even easier for them to hit us by laying down in one place.
It turned out to be a good plan though, because they didn't get hit.
I believe that the helicopters that were flying around were only trying to get their attention. I don't think they were trying to hit them, because they came over the loudspeaker and they said, "You are our prisoner." And then I think they said, "We don't want you, but we know you know who we want," meaning Airwolf and Stringy. So they said, "You will remain in here, and if you travel outside of this premises, my gunners will kill you," kind of thing. So I think they were just trying to fire warning shots, but to the tune of 5,000 warning shots.
What a way to get the attention, though.
I know. I just would have shot 25 rounds or so into the ground and said, "Look, you cross this line and we're going to pump you full of lead." But instead, they just wasted a bunch of bullets. But anyway, so So they establish that, and then those choppers land and kind of set up a perimeter and guard, Dominic and whatnot. And then at this point, now we see Airwolf in the distance coming towards them, coming to rescue them. And I found this kind of ridiculous. Airwolf is supposed to be this technologically advanced chopper.
Yes.
And it gets hit by one missile to the tail rotor to cause damage to make it, like we have to land and we can't fly this thing.
They don't go into in this episode. However, when this helicopter is developed, it is touted to be the fastest helicopter, the fastest vehicle known to man, which is well and good. I can buy that.
Sure.
But they also build up its ability to withstand firepower. It's made out of like Kevlar. It's got it's bulletproof everywhere.
Yeah.
It's built up to be this super machine that's almost impervious to normal weapons.
Right, and it has this. It has these jet engines that it can fire up to give it boosts of speed. But String wants to, or Hawk. Hawk sounds so much cooler. I got to stop calling him
cool.
String.
He is cool. I mean, his name is dumb, but
Yeah.
he's a stoic badass with a past but a heart of gold.
Exactly. Now, so anyway, he uses these jet engines to primarily pilot this the chopper down to a place of safety. But he still manages, even though the tail rotor is damaged, he still manages to outrun the two choppers that were pursuing him, and he manages to land in some remote field.
Yes.
Which more fun stuff comes from this.
The fact that the rocket does anything is surprising to me. I get that they need to set up a story and they have to have Airwolf be vulnerable so they can build off of that, and Airwolf can overcome the adversity of the week. It's just you don't follow your own rules.
True.
You don't follow your own rules.
Right. True.
So anyway, he lands at this farm in this remote area. He gets hit by the rocket. He outruns his pursuers, and they need to land and do repairs on the rotor. So they land at this remote farm,
which just so happens to have it just so happens to be like a mine.
Yeah, it's out there
where they have like a place to work with metal.
They're salt miners.
Yeah. So he lands in a field by a salt mine, and he they go in and they discover there's equipment there to work with metal, and they remove the tail rotor from Airwolf and they start heating it in this thing, and then Stringfellow is smacking the thing with a hammer, making all kinds of noise.
Straight up blacksmithing
the crap out of it, and then we have a line.
My favorite delivery of the line. So Hawk is just beating away at this rotor, and
honestly, the thing's making so much noise you could wake the dead with this.
Really. So he's beating away at this, and then he pauses. He looks around. He says, "I think we got company." And then Archangel says something to the effect of, "With your super hearing, next time if we got company, I want to be surprised." Basically telling him, "Don't tell me next time. I want to see the people come up myself, because you're just."
Because what difference does it make anyway? They've broken into these people's mining area, and they're making all kinds of noise, and they're about to get caught. What difference does it make whether he knows about it? They're still screwed.
It was a great delivery, great delivery of that dialogue.
Well, I have another similar line. Shortly thereafter, when they meet the people and they have a little exchange with them, the main person whose farm whose mine they infiltrated there or whatnot, he goes, "You are too close to the truth to be truly funny, sir." What the hell does that mean? You're too close to the truth to be truly funny. I don't get that. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I can get meaning out of it, but
I have to think about it. It's too cerebral of a sentence. I mean, what do we think he's really saying there? He's saying that maybe the situation is not as funny as it's making it out to be.
He's trying to be funny, but he's too close to the truth to be funny. Just take it literally.
Yeah,
It's just ridiculously delivered.
Yeah, there's probably 10 different easier ways to say that would make more sense than this choice of words.
I really didn't like.
But when I heard that line, I was just like, I gotta write that down because I don't know what the hell that means.
So they go to the Mexicans, and then the Mexicans come out. They barter with them. Hey, we'll give you gold if you help us get this rotor. We've got to get up and running. Right. Mexicans like, all right, yeah, we'll help you out.
And of course, they now instantly become helicopter repair people.
Yes. So they help him. They help him beat out the rotor, and then somebody else helps him put the rotor back on Airwolf. Right. They're trying to pawn off the sister onto Hawk.
Oh yeah,
that
matchmaker.
That was kind of creepy.
Yeah, that was funny.
To me, it was anyway.
Yeah.
But they jump after that. They jump to some exposition. We go back to Brooke at his army's tent camp. He gives some exposition and outlines the plan to what appears to be a general for the firm or for the army, I guess.
Colonel, I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. So the colonel's like, hey, what's going on? Why didn't you get him? He was right there in your lap. So Brooke is basically outlines the plan. I have his friend. He's down. He's out. He cares for his friend. He will be back. I have a trap. I'm going to get him because now I have his secret weapon. Leech missiles. Leech missiles don't explode on impact. They go into the ship itself and they stick there, and then they throw out auditory sounds and gases to distract and knock out the pilot. So he has to choose: do I want to just crash and burn, or do I make an emergency landing before I pass out?
So it's a high school prank missile.
Yeah. I'm gonna shoot you with some stink bombs.
Yeah, exactly. They justified it. They justified what it can do, because either the pilot is gonna, be impaired by the missile, or he's gonna make a landing and they can capture the aircraft, and it's a good way to salvage the aircraft without destroying the aircraft.
Yeah,
so
it works.
It does work. So, okay, so then Airwolf is repaired. Airwolf comes to the rescue.
We miss Dom and Phoebe. They share Phoebe's backstory.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Dom and Phoebe are doing repairs on the antique aircraft, and they have a fire going. Dom is trying to fix it and say, "Yeah, I can. It's a small explosion. Didn't do much damage. I'll get this back up and running in no time." So bashes his knuckles on something with a wrench. They go back to sit on the fireplace, to sit by the fire, and then Phoebe gives us her backstory. So she's carrying around this picture of her parents. Her mom died when she was young. I mean, Phoebe's no older than 13, 14 years old.
Right.
My mom's dead. Never met my dad because he's a sailor. So I have this picture of my dad, and I've been in foster care because my dad, who's in the Navy, he's a sailor. I haven't seen him. So when my mom died, I've been in foster care pretty much my whole life. So I want to meet my dad. So I'm going to start running away. She has this dress that she pulls out, this red
hideous
nightmare of a dress. It's got polka dots on it, and it's got frilly lace across the chest and around the hems.
It honestly looks like a tablecloth.
It's some tablecloth at some poor foster family's home died a valiant death. So she's running away now, and she's stowed away to go to Acapulco to try to find her dad. My question is, where'd you get this dress? How long have you been looking for your dad?
And why Acapulco?
Why Acapulco? What are your leads? What's going on here?
Right. I mean, of all the places to look for her father, what makes Acapulco more likely than, Houston or L.A. or Orlando. I mean, there's so many other different places, but let's just assume he's in Mexico.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. But yeah, that happens, and then we get back to Hawk putting the motor back on, and then exchanging eyes with the sister.
Right.
And then flying away.
Right. So now they're going to rescue Dom, and they're going to make things right, and the epic battle ensues.
The build up to it, I thought was pretty interesting because we get a little glimpse of everybody like in order. So we have Brooke lying in wait with his people. Then we have Dom and Phoebe finishing the repairs of the antique aircraft. We have the Mexicans walking around burying dynamite, and then we have a shot of Hawk flying towards the area, flying low, kicking up dust to avoid radar. So we have a little bit of what everybody's doing leading up to the big grand battle at the end.
Right.
Mexicans wasn't talked about at all. I guess they may have mentioned it or hinted at something to this effect during the exchange of gold and services. But the Mexicans were burying dynamite so they can blow all the dynamite up as a diversion for Brooke and his men. Brooke and his men go towards the explosions. Here comes Hawk to save the day, trying to blow everybody out of the air.
Right. And then they take a few hits too, because I remember there was some smoke inside of the Airwolf cabin and whatnot.
They hit him with a leech. They say 2 leeches, but only one was really penetrated. And then you have Archie inside with his eye patch. He takes like a crowbar or something, and it's billowing smoke. It's doing like a buzzing or inside. So Hawk is take care of this, trying to blow other helicopters out of the sky. And Archie takes like what appears to be a crowbar, and he basically pushes it out, like pries it back out into, and it falls out.
Yeah.
Falls out.
So, typically, in typical fashion here, Airwolf saves the day.
Airwolf saves the day. Dom flies in. I don't think he fought in there.
No, he didn't. Well, I don't think his chopper had any kind of armament to it.
No weapons, nothing like that. No.
But then next thing you know, they're flying together, and everything's all hunky dory, and they're saying, "Hey, do you want to race?" And Hawk is like, "Yeah, give me a head start." And of course, he hits his afterburners and goes, flying real fast into the fray, or flying real fast into the distance there. And then we're back over at String's place.
Shay String,
the String House, and now we see Shannon Doherty's character Phoebe is wearing that god awful dress because you can only assume she's about to meet her dad.
Yes,
and
just crazy to me.
Yeah,
it's crazy to me. Dom spends a couple hours with her. Yeah, she's a little kid. Yeah, he's an older guy who probably has paternal instincts.
Right.
Yeah, I'm grandfatherly. I'm Dominic.
Yeah.
So I guess I can see that, but they go out of their way to find her dad.
Right. Which you learned that the computer research that it took to found this guy cost $50,000, and it's like, what do you want him to pay for it?
Well, she gets the cold feet. The dad comes up. We've got Archie. We've got. We'll call her Rebecca. They say her name. I forget her name.
Yeah.
So
Archie's lady friend.
They come up with the father, and naturally he's much older than the picture that Phoebe has.
Right.
But he comes up the trail. Phoebe gets cold feet, runs inside, and then Dominic comes in and tries to talk her into, hey, why are you scared? Well, I'm scared of him because he might not like me.
And then Dominic just says, well, maybe he's scared of you and that you might not like him. And just by saying that, she goes, oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I want to go meet him now. It's like, I'm just going to say the exact opposite of what you just said, and it's going to automatically make you feel better.
You're so wise. So he goes out, or she goes out. Daddy comes up, sees her, throws his arm out, and they run
embrace.
towards each other. They embrace with a hug. And then Archie and the lady friend, they start saying, well, this is your idea, Dominic. It's going to cost you this much money, this much money, this much money. And the damnedest thing, we rewound this several times to watch this and confirm it. Hawk goes inside to his cabin. Hawk walks inside, leans like a badass against his mantle, and he looks at a picture on his mantelpiece. And it's two men in Air Force or Army attire. They're in jumpsuits, and they're in the back of a truck, and they're looking at the camera. And one is obviously Stringer Bell Hawk, or whatever his name is, Stringfellow. I put some of the wire in there.
Yeah.
One is Hawk, and the other is Phoebe's dad.
Right.
So he has a picture of Phoebe's dad, this random little girl,
Right.
that happened to come up to Santini Air, Dominic's airport.
Right.
Stow away on Dom's.
Right, and we don't know who this guy is.
We don't know who this guy is.
I'm sure they tell us in another episode. Maybe they do in the following episode. I don't know.
Doubt that they do.
I could have sworn there was something in the pilot episode. They mentioned that Stringfellow is looking for someone. I think his brother or something. Maybe this could be his brother. I don't know. Or this could be this person that he's looking for.
Maybe we need to watch more episodes and find out.
Maybe we do, and maybe Airwolf will come up again in a future episode. But this is the very that's pretty much the last scene in the whole episode, and pretty much almost going to finish it up for us here.
Yeah, it just confounds me though, because it's just all this happenstance, all this coincidence, and and at the very end, he knew that guy the whole time. There's a picture of him on his mantelpiece.
Exactly. So what does that really mean? But
right.
If you guys want to weigh in on what you heard, or if you guys have any follow-up knowledge you want to share with us, by all means, hit us up on our Twitter at tunein_nextweek, or on our website, tunein-nextweek.tumblr.com. Now, we're going to introduce a new section here. We got a couple of new sections we're going to throw in every now and then here. And we don't have a name for it, so we're going to kind of call it... our favorite and least favorite, or our high and low points of the episode.
Highlights and lowlights.
There we go. So I guess Brian, you want to start with what was your high point or your highlight of the episode?
I'm actually we talked about this a little earlier. I'm surprised you didn't bring this up. I was certain you would bring it up, but my highlights of this episode was Hawk driving that Jeep. That American flag Jeep.
And I drive a Jeep too, which is even funnier.
This thing was red, white, and badass. He was wearing a button-up shirt with rolled-up sleeves and a leather vest over top of that.
Was it like a bomber jacket? I thought it might have been a bomber jacket.
It was not a bomber jacket.
Okay.
It was the vest that he put on when he was talking to Archie.
Yes, you're right. Okay.
It was
some hat too.
It was
right?
a leather. He didn't have a hat.
Okay.
It was a leather vest with pockets on it, and he had aviators, and he got into this Jeep. I'm gonna tweet out a picture of this Jeep.
Please do.
This Jeep is incredible. There's no more I can really say about it. It's a red, white, and blue Jeep, and he used it to drive to Airwolf.
Nice, man. Okay, so I think that's that's certainly good. My high point for this is the theme song, because the music in the rest of the episode I wasn't so much a fan of. That wasn't my low point, but my high point is the theme song, that sort of synthy, that synthy kind of electronic sounding theme. I just think it's so cool. Much in the same style as Knight Rider, but it's kind of like an unmistakable sound when you hear it start playing. That's Airwolf, or it's Knight Rider. It's an unmistakable, undeniable song. Now, what was your low point or your low part of the episode?
My low light changed. My low point changed a couple times throughout the episode. At first, it was some of the dialogue exchanged with the Mexicans, but it really at the end, what solidified it for me was the Phoebe storyline, specifically Phoebe getting cold feet when her dad was coming up the path, and Dominic having to talk her back into going outside. My thing is, listen, you haven't seen your dad ever, forever. You've run away from security of foster care. No matter how shitty your foster family is, you are in a home. You're being fed. You're being clothed. You're being sent to school. All well and good. You're gonna give that up to live as a homeless urchin and stow away on ships and planes and helicopters to try to find somebody that you've never met. Where are your leads? Can I get some backstory? And you've got this dress that now you've got this dress that you're planning on wearing when I first meet him. Well, let's say you meet him at a port, and you just have this dress in your backpack. You want to just whip out the dress and just put it on right in front of him. Hey, Dad, how are you?
If I had a daughter and she met me wearing a dress like that, I'd be like, you need to go change.
Change. Anything else is better than this dress.
Right.
So for me, the whole cold feet at the last minute really just it pissed me off.
I'll agree with you on that, man.
It's my opinion.
My low point was the writing.
The whole episode?
A good portion of it.
What specifically? Like story, dialogue, what?
Just some of the dialogue, some of the choices of words, some of the phrases, like earlier on, "You are too close to the truth to be truly funny, sir."
All right, that was
just
poor.
Some of some of the sentence constructions, some of the just some of the dialogue was just so cheesy, and I feel like it really could have been. I feel like this episode maybe have been rushed a little bit. Maybe put a little more time into the caliber of the writing and make it something a little bit less dramatic and a little bit more factual and a little bit more, kind of like in Star Trek, where the dialogue makes everything seem believable. They could have made this seem a lot more believable and use some better dialogue, dialogue word choices, but. Overall, I enjoyed watching the episode. I think it was cool.
I would definitely watch more episodes of this, and I would recommend other people watch it.
Yeah, I'd like to see more episodes of Airwolf for sure. And I remember watching a number of them when I was a kid. Not nearly as many as Knight Rider, but I'd love to see more of them, and maybe it'll come up on a future episode. But I think that's just about going to do it for us here, right?
Yeah, I think we're done.
We're done. So just check us out on our website, tunein-nextweek.tumblr.com. Follow us on Twitter at tunein_nextweek. And the name of the show. Do it. Tune in next week.